Okay, well today I had a two-handle faucet with cartridges that were really hard to turn. Had a leak down below and replaced the supply line, but the handle was still pretty hard to turn. So what I'm going to show here is how to convert traditional bib washers or cartridges from a compression style to a ceramic disc function. The ceramic disc function is a lot nicer. It's a washerless cartridge, so there's no squeeze effect on the washer. The washer is just ceramic against ceramic, and it just rotates the turn on and rotates the turn off. There's no squeezing or pressing down of a little rubber washer or plastic washer. So it's a lot nicer feature, both in the experience of every time that you turn the water on, as well as every time that you turn the water off. It's maintainable. If there's debris in the line, you can pull it apart and clean it out, put it back together, and you're good to go. It's a good idea not to use channel locks on this type of cartridge, or even the ceramic disc cartridge, as it can squeeze and deform the deal. This one has a seat washer, and in order to convert to the ceramic disc washer, we want to take out the existing seat. What I have is a seat removal tool, which has two sides, a smaller and a fatter side. On this one, I'm using the fatter side first. A lot of times that's a little bit better, as it doesn't have to insert further, but if needed, there is a slimmer tool also that goes in a little bit deeper. Anyway, here's removing the seat. And this particular seat was pretty pitted, which is most likely why it kept leaking. You can see the little pits in it here, little grooves, And you can change out the seat washer and the bib washer, or you can change out the seat and the bib washer, but again, it's still the way that type of cartridge operates is a squeezing function. It presses against the seat to shut off the water. The ceramic disc cartridge, it only rotates the ceramic disc against the ceramic disc, and that shuts off the water. So definitely a lot nicer function. There's a little plastic washer here that goes against the new cartridge, and on the old one you want to make sure that it came out with the old one. So that's what I'm kind of peeking at here, and everything's fine here. There's not an old plastic washer left behind. What I'm going to do is wrap 2 or 3 turns of Teflon tape around the threads of the new cartridge. You don't completely have to do this, but I like to use it in that it makes it easier to remove in the future if you need to, in order to clean out the cartridge, because sometimes you get soil in the line or little bits of debris in the line, and this will make it easier to remove the cartridge in the future. So anyway, I'm able to get my 2 or 3 turns just by sort of turning the tape a little bit so that it covers the threads. The tape is a bit thicker than the 2 or 3 threads that exist on the cartridge, so what I do is just kind of turn the tape and angle it a little bit to make it work out. Anyway, here goes inserting it, and you have to just take a little bit of care to make sure it's not cross-threaded, and turn it in by hand first, and then follow it up with a tool. Again, an adjustable wrench works good, or a box end wrench, in that you don't want to squeeze the shape of the cartridge and deform it. Now there is a rubber squeeze washer on the very bottom of the ceramic disc cartridge, but once it squeezes down once, it makes it seal. So once that's done, there's no more pressure on that area other than the original pressure that was applied. It makes it seal. The seal's done, and then the action of opening the water happens as the ceramic disc presses against another ceramic disc with an equal amount of pressure, and just rotates against it. So again, there's no squeezing function that wears out over time. The only concern is like debris that might go through the line and clog up between there, which is pretty easily out. Since I've replaced the hot side cartridge with the ceramic disc cartridge here, I'm going to be also replacing the cold side. Now there's some debate whether this is actually worth it, in that the cartridges themselves cost between $10 to $15 depending on where you get them. So you know, you're spending $30 to convert a faucet that maybe cost $40 to $50, and you can buy a new faucet that also has a washerless function for maybe $40 to $50, somewhere in that range. So it really like only makes sense if there's not any markings or anything on the existing faucet, and also if you like this particular style of faucet or brand better. I find longevity wise this brand is pretty good. Once you convert it to the ceramic disc cartridge, it holds up really well. Some of the other cheaper brands don't hold up so well. In fact, they're very prone to developing leaks pretty quickly. And this brand's pretty good about that once this repair is made. But user experience is pretty good, pretty nice with the ceramic disc cartridge. It's just very easy to turn on, very easy to turn off. It's very smooth function. You might have noticed the degree of movement as I was pulling it apart there, and moved the base of the faucet back. Now, this can be a concern with older supply lines where they're a solid line. What I've used on this one is the flexible hoses line that's a compression fitting. So there, a little bit of movement's not such a bad thing, but you're going to want to really do your leak checks after everything's finished to make sure you have no leaks either way, but especially if you have older style supply lines that are kind of, you know, the bendable kind that just stay in one spot. They're not flexible supply lines. This repair also works for kitchen faucets. This is a Price Pfister faucet, and the different cartridges, there's so many different styles out there, but this actually works for a lot of the different styles, as long as you understand that on some the stem is a complete stem having the seat included in the stem, and on some it's separate. The seat is a separate piece, so you'll need the valve seat removal tool in order to remove the valve seat, like on this one, in order to convert it to the ceramic disc, you know. And again, this works for kitchen faucets as well, so it's just a really nice feature, and it's a easily operated handle, much easier than the bib washers, which sometimes you can get a handle leak because that has a O-ring in the top of it, or you can get a drip from the faucet as that has the bib washer seat as well as the valve seat. So the leaks can come from different spots, whereas the ceramic disc only has the original seat that seats against it, and then the ceramic disc rotating against each other. This one had a tiny drip left over, and just was a simple matter of tightening down the cartridges just a tiny bit. It's better to set them in a little bit, not to over tighten them, just a quarter turn past tight when setting them, and then tighten up as needed in order to stop any drip, which is what I did here. And sometimes you may want to pull these aerators out in order to double check, because some aerators do block quite a bit of water and do trap quite a bit of water from coming through, especially the newer, well, not the newer, but the really low flow aerators. I find there's like these 1.5 gallon aerators. It's almost too low. There's actually even 0.5 gallon aerators, which is like way low. So you can see here our drip is stopped. Now I'll just put the aerator back together and put it in. We have no more dripping, and we're good here. So I'll just rotate that back in, give it a little quarter turn past tight, test it out, and we'll be good to go. So once the repair is made, we'll want to turn on the water, verify we have no leaks, do a good amount of leak checking. One good trick is, after everything's all finished, is to go ahead and set some paper towels or toilet paper down below the sink and just make sure that there's no leaking down below over the next few days. Okay, so there it is. One nice new faucet, fully converted to ceramic disc cartridges.